going to get a little creative, or at least that's the word I'm going to use. We're going to travel out to Hollywood, California, and you might be asking, what are you talking about, Bill? And that's a fair question. Who among us has seen the movie Pretty Women? Okay, everyone. I see a lot of people out there raising their hands in podcast world. Well, it occurred to me last night, and when I say last night, no joke, last night, Tracy and I watched it, the movie Pretty Women. I don't know, I've seen it with my wife 10, 15 times or so. Did you realize that in Pretty Women, it demonstrates how to deliver top-rate customer service? Hear me out. Listen to what I mean. Well, he was on screen for maybe, I don't know, what was it? 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. But remember Hector Elizondo, who played the hotel manager, Barnard Thompson? Well, that movie is, of course, memorable for many reasons. Richard Gere. You had, of course, Julia Roberts just starting out her career. But there was a guy, Barnard, who understood customer service. He provided service that was memorable. You think I'm kidding? Well, go back and watch the movie and email me and tell me how right I am. Barnard understood customer service. All right. I've already established last night I watched Pretty Women. Today I sit here in front of the TBBT microphone. Again, I'm Bill Culhane, your humble host of the show, Rick Jennings, and our crew of all-stars. Thanks to you for stopping by out there in podcast land. We could talk about $500 million movies. That's what Pretty Women did at the box office. But no, on this episode, understanding that customer service is something that impacts everyone, every single person listening. We're bringing in a guest who is a best-selling author, much sought-after speaker. He has dedicated a large part of his life to studying, talking about, analyzing, sharing his opinions on delivering the very best in customer service. More on Shep Hyken and the upcoming release of his latest book. We'll be doing that here very shortly. First, need to bring in our producer, our maestro of the crazy bids, our very own Rick Jennings. Rick, I know you share my excitement that Shep, who, by the way, first joined the show back in August of 2018, that episode was one of our all-time most listened to episodes. Well, Shep has returned to the show, Rick, and I know you're excited.
Bill, if I were to give top 3 episodes from TBBT in the past couple of years, Shep's episode from August of 2018 has to be in that top 3 there. He definitely gave us some super, super valuable information that even helps me directly, as that's kind of the department that my day job is part of. Very, very excited to have him back.
We point out from time to time kind of what we do in our day jobs. Well, you spend your day providing amazing customer service. And folks, friends, Rick won't brag on himself, but I'm not constrained by such things. Rick is phenomenal at his job. And all you need to do is look at the feedback, look at the results, and it proves what I just said. I see you blushing, Rick. Clearly, you know about customer service, Rick. In the trenches, so to speak. Before Shep joins us, what do you have to say? Let's say somebody was starting up a business, opening a government agency. We don't want to forget our friends in the public sector. Whatever it is, Rick, if they ask you for pointers on customer service, what you've learned, what would be a few of your top recommendations for delivering premier customer service?
So I usually have 3 basic rules that I go by that really make you stand up above everyone else. The first one is to always give your clients the benefit of the doubt for whatever issue they're dealing with. That way, your language is going to reflect your intention to do your job, to assist them however you can. The other is to convey a sense of urgency, because, like you're probably aware, you can always tell when a client service representative doesn't really seem to care about the issue that you have and just kind of passes it along. But a sense of urgency basically is just assuring them that they are in the right hands, that you are on their side, and they are doing what they can to take care of whatever it is you need from them. And probably the most important is actually actually one that Shep sort of conveyed to us in August of 2018, and I hold it in very high regard in that your client's support efforts are going to be compared with every other client support effort for every single other business that your customers will be interacting with. So you're going to view your customer service from your satellite provider the same as you would from like ordering at the drive-through or whatever. Like they will still hold one above the other and kind of judge it by the same qualities. So if you are having to model your client's support base, be sure you do that to the absolute best, regardless of the industry that you're in, your location, or really any kind of distinguishing traits that separate you from other businesses, because client support is universal.
Very good. There are very good points there. And again, can't wait to hear what Shep says. But Crazy Bids is always fun. Later in the episode, what do you have in store for us?
I was looking quite a while for this one, but I think I found a nugget of gold in the river of crazy bids. And I guess the only thing that I will impart is that it has to do with libraries. So stay tuned.
Should be absolutely splendid. Now it's that time. After this message, Shep Hyken comes by to talk about amazing customer service.
The Big Bid Theory is brought to you in part by Bid Prime. Over 11 years in changing the bid services industry, Bid Prime has become the solution for businesses serious about winning public sector business. From the premier technology in the industry to real-time bid notifications, supporting documents, and robust data tools, it's all backed by unmatched, personalized customer support. Bid Prime. Start your free zero-obligation trial today. bidprime.com.
All right. Again, our show powered by Bid Prime. His bio is right there in the description of the podcast, but I'll provide a brief summary. Shep Hyken is a customer service and experience expert. We'll be talking about his upcoming book, I'll Be Back, How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. But Shep is already a New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author. He is a Hall of Famer. He was inducted into the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame. An interesting guy with an impressive background. After our conversation, be sure that you go down to the description and check out his bio. Now, Shep Hyken is on the TBBT hotline.
As I just mentioned, Shep Hyken does indeed join us on the hotline. Shep, we appreciate you stopping by. And I think you and I agree. Of course, you and I first visited, I guess it was back in 2018. Customer service is a topic that I think you and I agree better have some level of importance to every business, government agency, person on the planet.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. As a matter of fact, our data that we have points to exactly that. Every year we come out with a report. We call it the Achieving Customer Amazement Report. And here's some really interesting stats and facts. 83% of the consumers that by the way, we did a cross-section of America based on age, gender, ethnicity, geography, even income. And over 1,000 consumers we surveyed, 83% said they'll switch brands because of a bad experience. 79% said that if they know that another company will give better service, they will switch. And 67% said they would share those bad experiences with family members and friends. So, hey, the writing is on the wall, or at least in the report.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Those are some interesting numbers, and they really don't surprise me at all. And I would say that the internet has helped to share information, whether it be good or bad. But anyway, maybe that's a topic for another day. As we do travel in our conversation, we're going to weave in some parts of your soon-to-be-released book. The title again, I'll Be Back, How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. For our audience, I kind of want to tie in some of the themes, some of the aspects that are particularly near and dear to our hearts. In chapter 5 of the book, Shep, you offer, and by the way, the chapter is Nothing Has Changed in Customer Service. And I agree, it really hasn't. But over the past 18 months, there's been a global pandemic going on, and there are, of course, a number of challenges associated with that if you're trying to run a business, trying to run an agency. So, Shep, you are out and about. You have kind of your ear to the road, so to speak. What have you seen in your travels, heard in your conversations on how businesses have had to possibly adjust in delivery of customer service, or what should they be considering even now today in July, August of 2021?
Sure. Well, first of all, at the beginning of the setup, you said nothing has changed. Yet we know so much has changed in the last 18 months or so.
Sure has.
And yeah, but let's address what's not changed, because fundamentally, this has been happening since the beginning of business and will continue to do so until there's nothing left in this world. And that is, if you're going to do business with somebody, you start out, and it could be during the sales process, it could be, I need help and I have a complaint, customer support, doesn't matter. The customer comes to you with a need, a problem, an issue, and when they're finished, they want to be happy. They want to feel good about it. Now, what's happened in the middle, that's changed. And in the last year and a half, I think we've been forced to show more empathy towards customers. There was some really interesting data that came out earlier in the pandemic that said, probably about 4 months into it, that said the number of phone calls to support centers versus people that would be willing to go online has more than doubled. Why? People just wanted to talk to somebody. They wanted to connect with another human being. And that human being that they connected with had to show a little bit of empathy, maybe more than they'd shown in the past or even needed to show, because people were stressed out and scared. And a lot of times that fear that people have had, that anxiety, manifests itself in anger. And it appears you've got this angry customer that's being unreasonable. Probably not usually that way. It's just they're freaked out a little bit. They're scared, and who blames them for that? That's for sure. But in the book, I'll Be Back, we talk about how fundamentally nothing has changed as far as the beginning and the end. But in the middle, there's digital channels we can go to get self-service solutions. We can buy now without ever having to talk. We can buy a car and never have to step foot in a dealership. We can buy a computer, never have to talk to anybody, go to a store. And the way we're able to do that is all through the digital technology that's really become better and better over the years. And wait till you see what's coming. I think there's some very exciting technologies down the road that are going to make doing business with companies even better.
And that is a tremendous segue, Shep. The most recent episode of The Big Bit Theory, we had Will Purcell on from Pepperland Marketing, and Will is kind of a guru when it comes to video technology. So I hate to put you on the spot here, but we kind of talked about technology a moment ago. Is there anything specific to the use of video technology and or other technologies for that matter? But as far as video, is there anything that you've heard, again, word on the street, where companies are doing cool things with video, or is there anything you'd recommend they do with video?
Oh, sure. So video is huge, and I've been talking about the importance of video in marketing messages and customer service and sales. And now, think about prior to the pandemic, okay, what's Zoom? Oh, yeah, I know what Zoom is. Everybody knows what Zoom is. Our grandparents know what Zoom is. This is something that, and I just want to take a step back for a moment. All of these technologies, they were there before the pandemic. What the pandemic did is accelerated the use of technology. Using video to connect with customers is the best opportunity that we've ever had is happening now. Several reasons why people are very comfortable with video. They had time on their hands, so they started doing more with streaming video by either watching streaming TV or even going on YouTube. And guess what? Now we're learning as salespeople and marketers that we can send marketing messages using video, and we can personalize those messages. There's some really cool technology. Imagine that you get an email from me that says, hey, I've created a video for you. Just click here. That video gets watched as opposed to discarded a substantial percentage higher than a typical email. Now, not only can I personalize that, or can I create that video and send it to you via email, but, when you see the image, I'm holding up a whiteboard that says, hi, Shep, or whoever it is you're marketing to. And then when the video starts, you see me standing there with a whiteboard. It says, hi, Shep, and it says, I've got a really important message for you. And I set down the whiteboard and I start talking. But you know what? The technology allows me to put anybody's name on that board and send a mass message out. It's very cool the way it works. I don't know if I've done justice to the description, but what a cool way to get a marketing message to people from the standpoint of customer service. If you've got a power outage and you're a cable TV company, I work with a number of major internet cable providers, and one of the things they do, they talk about how they want to hit their customer at every possible touch point to let them know there's a problem before the customer calls in and says, "What's wrong with my cable TV?" So they'll send a text, they'll send an email, they'll send a direct message on Twitter or Facebook. So they'll use all the technologies. But imagine, hey, it's so-and-so here, president of the cable company, just want to let you know we're working on it. And they send that message, and it's really just a way to personalize the experience that the customer is having.
Talking about the book again, it's going to be released very soon. I had an opportunity to peruse the book, and one of the themes, the ideas that really grabbed me, and I understand that you and I could spend maybe 6 hours, 8 hours talking about this specifically, but you mentioned the moments of truth. And again, I understand you can't go through every detail, but what are meant by the 3 possible moments of truth? You mentioned the moments of misery, the moments of mediocrity, and moments of magic. And on that note, what is also meant by amazement? When you mention amazement in your book, Shep, what are you talking about?
Sure. So these are fundamental principles that are in every single one of the books that I write. They're in every speech that I deliver on stage. Even if you've heard me 10 times, I may get back to that same audience and say, "Hey, everyone, it's great to be back. Before we get into the new content, we've got to cover the fundamentals," and I always spend a few minutes doing that. In each book, I write a chapter on this. So the moment of truth is any time a customer comes into contact with any aspect of a business, however remote, and has the opportunity to form an impression. Now, this is not my idea. This is Jan Carlson, former president of Scandinavian Airlines, asked to run an airline when it was not doing financially well, and he turned it around by getting all of the employees to focus on managing the interactions that passengers had with the airline. Same way we would manage clients dealing with us, customers dealing with us, guests, residents, patients, whatever you want to call them. So that's the moment of truth, the interaction. He said, Jan Carlson said, it can go one of 2 ways. It can be good and bad. And I said, it can go 3 ways. Bad ways I call moments of misery. Those are complaints, problems, bad experiences. The moment of mediocrity, he didn't talk about this. This is average, just okay. It's nothing special. You know what? People don't complain about it, but they don't rave about it either. And given an opportunity to get better than okay, they're going to move on. And then the moment of magic is anything that's positive. Sometimes it's over the top, blow me away. This was the most incredible service I've ever had. Or it can just be a consistent and predictable interaction that's just a little above average. And when you are consistently above average, even the slightest bit, but the key is consistency. That means all the time. You can get great scores on your ratings. On a scale of 1 to 5, if you want to get 5 for being amazing, just be a little better than a 3 all of the time. Horst Schultz from the Ritz-Carlton, the co-founder and the first president, said that if you're a little better than average all of the time, you could be a world-class brand. And I said, how much better do you have to be? He said, just be 10% better. So on a scale of 1 to 5, be a 3.3 consistently or a little bit better, and you'll earn your 5s. That's what it takes to be amazing. And you know you're amazing when people refer to you using the word always. You know what? They're always so helpful when I call. They're always knowledgeable when I have questions. They always get back to me quickly. That word always followed by something positive means it's predictable, it's consistent, and that's what drives amazement.
In the book, and we have a number, of course, folks out in the audience who are business leaders, government agency managers, etc. And they all know, everybody listening to this episode knows about creating a winning culture, how important that is, how to kind of formulate that I'll be back working culture. But you bring up a point in your book, and when I read the part of the book that pointed this out, I was like, Shep is right. And what you say is one employee is the company for the customer. That can be scary if you're a business or government agency leader. So what's important in getting that idea across to each and every employee that you wear the brand, you kind of carry the shield for everybody.
Right, and I call this the awesome responsibility, where at any given time, one person represents all of us. And This is the point. I do business with somebody in a company. I hang up the phone after talking to a salesperson or somebody in customer service, or maybe I had an accounting issue, and I call up, and they were so friendly and so nice, and they took care of the problem right away, or they got me what I needed so quickly. And I get off the phone, I go, and I don't say he or she. This is what I typically, and this is what most people say, boy, those people at that company are amazing. And it was just one person. And
I laughed I laughed when I read that because you're so true.
Yeah, it's one person, and that one person represents the entire brand at that moment. And it is an awesome responsibility. And I didn't put this story in the book, but years ago I had an insurance claim I was making, and I was struggling. They were not giving me what I thought I deserved, especially after paying all those high premiums. And I finally got to a person, and I said, you know what? You've got an awesome responsibility right now. And she said, what do you mean? I said, because when we're off the phone, one of two things is going to happen. One, you're going to make me so happy, I'm going to be happy to pay next year's premium. Or two, you're never going to hear from me again. You're never going to see a check come from me. It's over between us. I said, that's your responsibility. You're representing your company right now. And she thought about it, and she goes, can I get right back to you? And she calls me back. She goes, okay, I got it all worked out. And so it worked. But that's the whole point. At any given time, one person represents everyone.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would suggest that regardless if you're a sole proprietor or a Fortune 500 company, I think you bring up a very, very good point that people form opinions of everyone based on maybe an interaction with a single person. That I'm a little biased, Shep, because again, you and I go back a few years since you and I first visited, and I can't wait until the coming days, a couple of weeks or so, when I can actually reread the book. I, of course, read it in preparation for our conversation, but what do you hope your readers get from I'll Be Back?
Well, I hope they get the idea that so there's so much that's in there. I just want people to be successful. I want companies to be successful. And there are tactics and strategy in this book. Tactics are things that individuals will do on an individual basis to create a better experience, even for their internal customers, the people they work with. Strategy is a much bigger picture. It may be a process that we work on to improve it. Well, I've given you both sides of this in this book. There was quite a bit of good information that I had not written about, in any of the books in the past. But I'll share this with you. By the way, the I'll Be Back book, I realize, you say you want to read it again in a couple of weeks. The book doesn't come out until September. However, if anybody buys the book from our website, which is I'llBeBackBook.com, they will get the ebook instantly at no charge. So even though you'll get the hardbound when it comes out, and we'll make sure that happens, the ebook, when you get the response back, thanks for your order, there'll be a link there to get the ebook downloaded to whether you use a Nook, a Kindle, whether you want it on be able to watch or look at it and read it on your phone. It has all the different formats. Anyway, I would love to share, if you want, what I think the biggest takeaway of the book is.
Go ahead.
It's the last chapter. It's called Where the Rubber Meets the Road, and there's lots of information. It's like, why would customers want to leave you? We call it, why would they want to terminate you? Why would you want to leave them and not have to do business? But this one is how you truly create that I'll Be Back experience. Number one, it's a 6-step process. I'll go through it really quickly. Number one, you ask, why would someone do business with me? And don't say things like, because we have really good people and we've got great service, because that's exactly what your competitors are saying. So write down what really differentiates you, where the value is by doing business with you. Number two, ask, why would someone do business with the competition? and maybe they're doing something that you're not doing. Be blatantly honest. You sit down with your team and you talk about this. Number 3 is what I call keeping pace. And that means if the competition is doing something that you're not doing that you should be doing, well, figure out a way to do it. And if it were me, I'd want to put a twist to it and make it a little bit different. So it's got to be something that, if I give you an example, some really smart hotelier years ago, owner of a hotel said, let's give our guests an extra perk. Let's give them a newspaper. And when they come down in the morning, we'll give them a newspaper. And somebody said, well, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that too. All that is a copycat. Till that person said, but I'm going to put the newspaper at the doorstep. So when they open the door, it's right there. They don't even have to come downstairs. That's an idea of how somebody took the same concept and made it a little bit different. Actually, I think better. Anyway, so you keep pace. Number 4, you sit down with the team and you ask, who do you love doing business with outside of our industry? It could be Amazon. It could be the restaurant down the street. It could be a shoe repair. It could be a company you buy heavy machine equipment from for your business, and you love the inside sales rep. But you write down the company, and you write down. And so this is step 4. Write down the companies and all the reasons you love them. It doesn't matter if it has anything to do with what you do. It's why do you love doing business with them. And then step 5 is to take a look at what you've written down and say, what are these out of the industry companies doing that we could also be doing? And it's really important to read between the lines, because you might look at Amazon and think, well, we're not an e-commerce company. We sell, lawnmowers to landscape companies. We're B2B. Yet here's what was an interesting concept or a comment that one of my clients made. They are in the medical world, and they had ordered a $500,000 piece of machinery, and it showed up at a time that they didn't expect it. And nobody was ready to accept it, receive it, and they didn't know what to do because they just weren't ready for it. And this is what the client said to me. I ordered toilet paper from Amazon. At least they email me to tell me it's on its way. Why couldn't this company do the same thing? We're being compared to all kinds of businesses, even outside of our industry. So what are these companies doing that you can be doing? And once you start to implement some of these ideas, or you have a plan in place, step 6 is to go back to the first question and say, now that I'm doing this, ask the same question. Why would someone want to do business with me? And there you go, the 6-step process. And I think it's pretty powerful. It's simple in concept, complicated and extremely detailed if you really get into it the right way.
Yeah, and 15 certainly is an outstanding chapter, important, interesting information. And Shep, looking at the sundial here, I see we're kind of up against the time. Confession here, chapter 7, the shortest customer service speech in history.
I love that one.
Okay, but let's leave it there. Folks, for those listening, when you get the book, wait for when you have that yes moment when you read chapter 7. I'm going to leave it right there. But anyway, I mentioned there were moments I found myself as I read the book, I found myself chuckling. Well, when I got to chapter 7, I was like, Shep's got it. He's exactly right. So again, we'll leave that maybe for a conversation in the future. But Shep, I do want to give you an opportunity for our friends listening. How can they get a copy of the book and dates of availability and all the information you gave a moment ago that will be included in the description of the show, by the way?
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Again, I'llBeBackBook.com, no apostrophe in ILL, I'llBeBackBook.com. And make sure you put book in there, not just I'll Be Back. Otherwise, you'll go to like a Terminator or Arnold Schwarzenegger site. So I'llBeBackBook.com. And if you buy it from the site before the book comes out in September, you will get the ebook instantly. In addition to when the book finally does come out, it'll be shipped to you. So that's the easiest way to get it. Of course, go to Amazon, too. It's going to be there. It's going to be everywhere books are sold.
Absolutely. Amazon has just about everything. So, again, I know I just said it, but a reminder to our listening audience, go to the description of the episode, and Rick and or Lauren will have the information Shep was just kind enough to share that will be there in the description of the podcast. Well, Shep, Again, it was great visiting with you. We appreciate you stopping by. Safe travels. Great luck on the book, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I hope that one day you'll have me back. So I'll just put it out there. I'll be back.
Folks, I hope that you found our conversation with Shep Hyken to be informative, interesting. You look at all of the things that Shep talks about, is interested in, and he is a wealth of knowledge. I do recommend that you get a copy of that book, especially if customer service, delivering amazing customer service, is important to you and or your business. But speaking of business, it's time to move on to the business of crazy bids. Rick, I see you there. I see you're all set to go. Crazy bids, you can win. Take it away.
All right, I am excited for this one. So I said I had quite the interesting one, and it had to do with libraries. So I'm going to start this crazy bit out just with a paragraph out of the background section of this RFP. And it goes as follows. Contemporary library facilities are focused on creating an outstanding customer experience, like we just talked about with Shep. Continuing, that includes high-speed broadband, public computer access, private study and meeting rooms, and user amenities, which include food service. Patrons should be able to visit the library, read a magazine, and eat their meal. That's the atmosphere that we want and need to create to capture the library users of the 21st century. No truer words have been said in an RFP, and if you are going to be responding to this particular one, that means that you have a need or a want or a need to be able to go up to somebody reading a magazine in a public library and handing them a scotch and soda. So the title of this RFP that comes to us from the City of Madison Public Library is titled Alcohol Beverage Service. So basically is exactly what we were looking into here. The Madison Public Library is looking to expand its services to be a little bit more inclusive of 21st century amenities and such, and to kind of complete to that, they're looking for different vendors to help with food and drinks, and this one in particular is they're looking for a Class B liquor license holder in the city of Madison to be able to provide alcohol beverage services to Madison Public Library. So if that is something that you feel like you can participate in, or if it's just something that you want to see happen, kind of like myself, I would love to be reading my own magazines and novels and have somebody pass over a drink order to me. That sounds like a nice and relaxing weekend. If that's something you feel like you want to make happen for the city of Madison, that is this week's crazy bid that you can win.
Tremendous job on crazy bids you can win. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the show. So much appreciate you tuning in, spending a little time with us. Also, thank you for sharing, downloading the podcast, The Big Bid Theory. And thank you for the emails. I said it earlier. If you watch Pretty Women and you notice the points there where Bernard is providing amazing customer service, send me your thoughts via email. You can email me at bculhane@bidprime.com. We're at about the midway point of our current season. If you have any ideas for guests later on this year, be sure to fire them off to me at bculhane@bidprime.com. You can follow us on Twitter. It's at The Big Bid Theory. My personal Twitter is contract_hunter. That's contract, that little line, Hunter. And don't forget, we're also on Facebook as well. Powered by Bid Prime. That's going to do it for this episode of The Big Bid Theory. Many thanks to Cindy for helping to coordinate our visit with our special guest, expert guest on this episode. Many thanks to Shep Hyken. Be sure to go out, get his book, I'll Be Back. Thanks to Rick Jennings and our entire team here at the show. It's because of you that we do what we do. This is Bill Culhane. Until next time, go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, Bobcats, and Cubs. And we wish you all the best in growing your business.
Powered by Bid Prime, we thank you for tuning in to The Big Bid Theory. From Austin, Texas, the show is produced by Bill Culhane and Jim Ward. Producer and engineer is Rick Jennings. You can find other episodes of the show on platforms such as iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Google Play, Stitcher, among others. As always, thank you for downloading and sharing the podcast.
We're having so much fun, so much fun.